we have breaking news that Opendoor might be acquiring TaxProper. TaxProper is a YC company from 2019 that helps institutional owners to pay and manage their property taxes. So property taxes are a huge pain for institutional owners that own homes nationwide, which like REITs, etc., want to do for diversification. And each of those local government independently has their own rules and ways to collect and aggregate revenue for those local governments through property taxes. And this startup was looking to making this easier. And it seems, based on some detective work that we did on the Discord today, that they got acquired by Opendoor. And before we jump on what that means for Opendoor, I want to share how we actually figured this out. So we've seen that Opendoor has been posting a lot of new job listings referencing TaxProper. That was a really good indication. But what we then saw is that it's basically the same job listing descriptions, very close to what TaxProper was posting a few weeks ago as well. So it looks like Opendoor is hiring for the TaxProper team as part of Opendoor, which is a very strong indication that Opendoor actually acquired TaxProper. We haven't seen an official announcement yet. Those job listings showed up as of like a week or two ago. The company also lists as acquired in the YC dictionary, but there hasn't been no press release. We'll likely hear about that closer to the earnings call and see if that's true. I mean, I can't think of any other explanation other than an acquisition why Opendoor would have TaxProper job listings for their Opendoor Enterprise team, which goes into the next topic. Is I don't think Opendoor actually shared a lot about what Opendoor Enterprise is, and Tyler and I have been following this for a while. Since its previous name, it has been formally named Opendoor Homebase. Maybe Tyler, you can tell us a little bit about what Opendoor Enterprise is, since Opendoor hasn't really told us anything about it.
Yeah, so again, this is all detective work, right? Because there's been no press releases about Opendoor Homebase. It's a very kept quiet and yet growing division of Opendoor Technologies. And the idea here is that Opendoor wants to be the middleman for institutional purchasing and selling of residential real estate. And I think if we step back a second and separate ourselves kind of from this conversation, but just think about the opportunities, that are available to enterprising entrepreneurs in the United States. You got to imagine that the most valuable opportunity that is untapped right now is to become a middleman in residential real estate. If you can somehow find a way to connect buyers and sellers, and yet expose yourself to no financial or capital risk. You never have to own or manage the property yourself, but you're just connecting them, right? On a wide scale, like becoming a broker for both sides of the transaction. And not just that, but also the software for closing, for title and escrow, for mortgages, for moving, for collecting rent, for collecting property taxes and HOA, which is a piece that I think is solved for with this new acquisition. That is a massive untapped business opportunity. And what Opendoor has been doing, at least for the past year or two with Homebase, is they're trying to become that settlement layer between institutions and individual homeowners or buyers. And so what that process looks like is Opendoor offering use of their pricing algorithm, of their closing technology, of their resources and analysis, and sort of lending that to these large scale real estate investment trusts, institutional buyers, so that they can buy homes at an advantage, right? And the crazy thing is, it sounds like this is not a very saturated area. It sounds like a lot of these big institutional players were essentially using spreadsheets before Opendoor came up with this technology. Very similar to what Southwest Airlines has been doing, around the holidays with booking flights between passengers. I don't know if you heard about that, Sebastian, but there were a lot of issues with flights with Southwest Airlines because they were using basically Excel documents to manage flight bookings. There's a lot of problems with that. And basically, what I'm getting at here is Opendoor has started to build that technology, but there's all these edge cases attached to that so that they can be sort of a full stop shop for these institutional players, so that they can bundle their services and make it increasingly appealing for these companies. And the best part of all of this is that it's software revenue, right? Software revenue is software margins. And so that's going to look really nice, in addition to Opendoor's first party business. And so I was excited to see this. I think, funding for this company, TaxProper, was $2 million at last estimate. And I cannot imagine a tax company for residential real estate is doing very well right now solo, or has been for the past 6 months. So I don't think Opendoor probably had to spend too much of their very important and precious capital to onboard this team if they did.
Yeah, I think this is really exciting news because at the end of last year, we saw Opendoor cut a lot of product lines. They cut the Opendoor Financials, which was and also a company that they acquired earlier that year, Red Door, to build like a marketplace for mortgages. They cut the Opendoor Max, which was their experimental app. So we really didn't know where Opendoor Enterprise home base really stood, other than like job listings, because they don't really talk about it. But with that acquisition, it seems like Opendoor is really doubling down on that together with their marketplace and the first party and third party business that are probably the big pillars going forward. And my hope here is really that maybe as part of this acquisition announcement or in the upcoming quarters is that we hear more about this. Like, the only way we know about this is from job listings, from expert interviews, and from observing what Opendoor is doing. So we've seen last year Opendoor has been involved as an agent in like hundreds of home transactions in the major markets to help institutions acquire homes, because institutions cannot just go and buy homes from the MLS. They need like an agent. They need somebody to represent them, and those, like you mentioned, those systems of looking for homes, acquiring homes is really antiquated. They have like Excel sheets, and then they're reaching out to local real estate agents and acquiring homes like that. What Opendoor is trying to do is like really modernize this and give REITs and institutional owners the same tools that they're using to buy and manage homes internally. Like, we know they own thousands of homes at any given point. There's so much that goes into that, right? They have a whole vendor network of people that like do repairs and maintain their homes. They probably have all this estimations on like when the grass has to be cut in a certain market, and so they can send in people to repair it. Like, nobody's manually assessing that. There's probably estimates for that, and all of these algorithms, all of that expertise that they built in maintaining thousands of homes, they can offer that to institutions, and that's really exciting. And we have, based on LinkedIn and job listings, the team behind Opendoor, the R&D team behind Opendoor Enterprise has to be like 50 people or something. It might be one of the biggest product lines inside Opendoor. So it's really exciting how this will evolve in the next year. And I really hope it will be it will be part of a communication plan, so they share more about this, and we actually learn all the different areas in which Opendoor Enterprise is helping institutions.
Yeah, I mean, totally agree. I think the secretive thing was great when Opendoor was doing very well and all growth stocks were doing very well. Now that residential real estate is doing very poorly and growth stocks are doing very poorly, especially Opendoor, I think a little bit more transparency about sort of what the long-term vision is not only prudent but necessary. Someone needs to tell the story, and so if anyone from Opendoor is listening and would like to chat with us about Opendoor Enterprise, Homebase, or really anything about the company, we'd love to have that conversation.